Today we're going to look at the hair storyboard. As you notice, this storyboard is divided into two scenes. You might want to select scene 1 and scene 2 and make yourself a note that these will be world methods. Let's take a further look inside scene 1. The hare's head will say, "Boy, what a day." Simultaneously, the hare will droop his ears and his shoulders will slump. Notice that we've made a separate method for this named droop. Ask yourself, who is doing the drooping? Will it be a world method or should it be an object method? And the answer is obvious. This should be an object method that is tied to the hare. The hare then grumbles to himself, "I am tired." These statements comprise scene 1. Looking at scene 2, the hare says, "Singing a song will pick me up," and then he will sing a song, and we will use a separate object method named sing to contain that code. So let's talk about how we would build this in Alice. With the Alice world already set up with the hare inside, let's go ahead and make our two world methods for scene 1 and scene 2. Make sure that the world is selected in your object tree, and then in the world details area, click the Create New Method button. Method names must be verbs, so we cannot name this scene 1. Instead, we will name this play scene 1, remembering to use camel case, squishing our words all together, no spaces, and remembering to capitalize the S in scene. As a trick, I will do Control A to select the text, Control C to copy it, and then say OK. When it comes time to create the new method for play scene 2, I'll simply use Control V to paste. Alice is trying to warn me that I already have a method called play scene 1, so I'll hit the backspace and say play scene 2. Okay, let's go back and look at my first method. I'm going to take you to the structure chart for our program. A structure chart is a visual representation of what your program looks like. So we see at the top we have one process block. That's the name of our program, the hare program. And when our world begins, we will start at my first method. According to the structure chart, visually, the way this works, my first method will call play scene 1, and when all that code has finished, it will then call play scene 2. So to organize our world in Alice, it's very, very simple. We will drag a do in order control to my first method, and then drag over play scene 1 and play scene 2. We are trying to avoid the junk drawer situation, and we are compartmentalizing our program in different containers, in other words, different methods. This is the only code that I should have in my first method. Let's open up play scene 1. According to the storyboard, the hare's head should say, "Boy, what a day." We'll click on the plus sign for the hare, click on the plus sign for the neck to access his head. Notice his head has a yellow bounding box around it now. Let's go ahead and drag a do in order control to the top of the editing area, and we'll make the hare's head say, "Boy, what a day." Don't forget to set your duration for at least a couple of seconds and test. Very good. Let's continue on. Next, the hare droops his ears and his shoulders slump. And this should be a separate method named droop. So obviously we do not want to write the code here. Instead, what we're going to do is make sure the hare is selected in the object tree and click on the Create New Method button and type in droop. Droop is a verb. We start off with a lowercase letter, so this is aligned with the Java naming conventions. Click on OK. Notice at the editing area that we have new tabs. This one says hare.droop. The dot will separate the object from the method. Let's talk about what should happen here. We'll go back to the storyboard. The hare will droop his ears and his shoulders will slump simultaneously. So obviously we need a do together control. To access his ears, we will click on the plus sign for his head, and here's the left ear. Let's roll his left ear to the left, 0.35 revolutions, and then do the same thing with his right ear. We'll roll his right ear to the right, 0.35 revolutions. That'll take care of his ears. So I'm going to make a little comment here denoting that. Ears will go down. Next, we want his shoulders to slump. Let's make a little comment for that as well. Shoulders will slump. To make this happen visually, I'm going to access his left arm and his right arm, and I'm going to move them down a really teeny small amount for a subtle effect. 0.1, and then his right arm, I'll also move it down 0.1 meters. Now when I go to test my world, I get a nasty pop-up message. The method hair.droop is not called by any events or by any other methods which might be called by any events. That's a mouthful. What it simply means is this. You wrote a new method, you put some code inside of this method container, but nowhere in your program do you actually call this code to execute. If you go back and look at your storyboard, the droop method should be called from within play scene 1. And if you look at your structure chart, we see this visually as well. We're inside of play scene 1. Play scene 1 should call the droop method. So this is a very easy fix. We'll go back to play scene 1, and to call the droop method, very simple. I'll click on the hair in the object tree again to access his methods. We'll drag over the droop. Test it to make sure it works appropriately. Boy, what a day. Ears go down, shoulders slump. The great thing about programming in modular form is that you can test and debug as you go. At this point, I am finished almost with play scene 1, and I'm completely finished with the droop method. Going back to the storyboard, the last thing I need to put inside of scene 1 is the hair grumbling to himself, I am tired. We'll do that like so. I am tired, and give it a duration of just a couple seconds. Test it, speed through, everything works. At this point, I'm done with play scene 1. Let's open up play scene 2. It's empty. Drag a do in order control to the top of the editing area, and let's go look at the storyboard. The hair says, singing a song will pick me up. Drag over the say tile and type that in. Singing a song will pick me up. Okay. Set the duration for a couple of seconds. Test. This is where the speed bar is very helpful. Okay. And then lastly, it tells us that the hair will sing a song in a separate method named sing. And visually, if we look at this on the structure chart, we can see that the sing method is called from play scene 2. Alright, make sure the hair is selected in the object tree. He's the one doing the singing. Click the Create New Method button and type in sing. Now at this point, the story does not tell us what the song actually is, so I'm just going to make up some stuff. Okay, hair.say. We're going to sing a little bit of a blues song, wah, 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 wah. Couple seconds, and then make the hair say, I'm tired today. Couple seconds. And then I'm going to copy this code here, the wah, 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 and just drag it to the appropriate place. So here's my little teeny song for the sing method. Remember, if I click on play, I'll get that nasty message again. It just means that I need to, somewhere in my program, call this code to execute. The sing method should be called from within play scene 2. So in Alice, I'll just go to play scene 2 and drag the sing method over and test. Boy, what a day. Ears go down, shoulders slump. I am tired. Singing a song will pick me up. And here's his song. So here in this tutorial, you have learned about world methods, which are used to organize your program into scenes and shots. And you've also learned about object methods, used to generate behavior not found in Alice, tied to one object.